very good, and then it's like.
Yeah.
Where the crosswalk is,
that whole crosswalk right to the stairs going to the upper parking lot. Good move, like.
We can handle that.
All right, time is now 6:30. Call the meeting to order. Welcome, Tom. Please be advised, this meeting is going to be recorded and will be made available to the public. Agenda item 2, minutes of previous meeting, December 4th, 2018, Pleasure Board. Okay. That. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor? Agenda item 3, immediate business, public comment. Any members of the public this evening like to speak for anything? April, you good?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for asking.
Okay. 3B, agenda review.
Possibly a line item transfer, I'm waiting for the information to come in, so I want to wait till later in the meeting.
Okay. 3C, FY20 budget and awards.
We didn't get the draft warrant into the packet in time, but
I'll make a motion that we move the, budget forward to the as presented.
Second. Motion made and seconded. Point out a couple of items. Point out a couple of items. Field trip money for Washington DC trip and environmental camp was put into this budget and has not been removed. Just want to make sure everyone's aware of 1494.
yeah, we did not.
1494.
1494.
I think it starts on 19.
What page?
Yes,
Page 24.
What page is that?
Page 24.
Thank you.
14.
So the line number is 1492 through 1495. We, the board had wanted to see what it would look like if we were to fund the trips that we take. So we did put that in and then neglected to have a conversation about it. So I brought it to Dan's attention that we had never gone back to that and we wanted to provide the opportunity for the board to talk about that. So as John said, the 6th grade trip and the 8th grade trip are included in the budget right now, so that would eliminate funding.
Plus $1,000 per grade level for
They're traditional.
the traditional, which you usually get. I have in the past, not last year.
That's 1495.
1490.
Yep.
Yes, yep. So 20, almost $24,000 grade.
1494.
Yeah.
1494.
So we've increased by approximately 35,000 for the difference.
Oh, but take out the, so if we take out 1,000, then we don't get any of those, what?
1,000 per grade level, so right?
Correct.
So you should get theoretically $4,000.
So if we wanted to take that out, we have to take out 30,996.
No, because, what do these other buildings usually get?
Well, it's been,
I know.
you can see it's been cut. They haven't been getting anything.
We haven't been funding field trips at all.
No,
Okay.
it's been all done through.
So we probably need to have a conversation regarding field trips in general.
PA got 5,000.
So what would it take to restore field trips minus the 2 home trips?
For Three Rivers, it'd be 4,000
For the whole district?
Oh, I don't know.
So if you take 20,000 out, then that be?
15 to 14.96.
So the proposed would be 15 instead of 35, okay?
Motion's on the table, so I'm not making one. My personal sentiment is, we did a lot of extreme cutting last year. But I would certainly love to have the store commission on both trips that we've had forever. Certainly, we might be supportive of keeping it open this year.
Excuse me, could you just speak up a little louder so the taxpayers can hear you? Thank you.
Would you like me to repeat that?
Please do, Tom.
So I was just saying that we did extreme cutting last year because of our situation. But personally, I'd be supportive of restoring traditional funding for field trips that we have had in the budget for the last 20 years. I am not supportive of fully funding the DC or environmental trip. So that would be a reduction of that line of approximately $20,000. Others?
What about hardship funds? Are they embedded within this amount, or is that a different one?
That would be different.
Okay, so with Tom's recommendation, there's still funds available for hardship cases. That's it.
Yeah, it's limited, but it's there, yeah.
How many students does this affect? John?
Every year a little different.
Approximately.
This year, I think we're close to 80 students in 8th grade going, and I'm not sure what the total for 16, probably going to be 60 or 70. So,
Significant numbers.
yeah.
And I see both of these things as significant educational experiences for these kids. So I don't have any problem supporting it completely.
Yeah, it's your turn if you want one.
I'm kind of on board with Tom, although I might, those trips are getting expensive, 2 trips, 6th and 8th grade. And if there was something that we could do to possibly lessen the burden, we talked about this, you know, it's been shortened and the prices are still going up. As far as specific dollar amount, you know, either the expenses here, or if we help to offset some of that, it might benefit, make it a lot easier for, so maybe, do some kids not go just because they can't swing it?
Yes, and I would say it's a real burden for the families that have a child who's sick.
Yeah.
I how confident it is, but it's relatively fine.
As far as that goes, it's kind of, in comparison to everything else, it's kind of short money. If we could, you know, at least give a portion instead of, you know, what's, you wanted to pull out what, $20,000? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. Yeah.
So maybe if we only pull half of it. And, you know,
So here's my concern. Families who went last year were given support.
Right.
If this went through, there's in my opinion, a very good chance that families next year are getting support. So I'm really uncomfortable. Well, I'm uncomfortable with the dollar amount, period, with the financial situation we're in,
right.
the tax rate situation. And I'm also uncomfortable, like, why would it be this year's class that sort of gives this amazing benefit, and the last 20 years didn't get it, or however long it's been, and good possibility that it'll never be available again. Right. I understand the educational benefit, but from a fairness issue, you know, are there other things we can invest our educational dollars in that would possibly have a longer term benefit than just a 1 week or a several day experience for a very specific number of children? That's just.
No, it's a good point. I was thinking from that point of view.
I guess my feeling on this is that we can at least restore the field trips back to what they've historically been, and take it to at least baby steps. Maybe we get to the 6th and 8th grade trip in another year. Biting off too more than we can chew, we might not get ultimately any of it. So I'd be supportive of cutting the 20,000 out and leaving the remainder in.
Yeah, John, are there ever situations where kids are not allowed to go because their behavior issues? Okay. So therefore, if we're funding the consideration of the final trip, for students, for the whole class, and yet there are 1, 2, or 3 kids who aren't going because of behavioral issues, I could just see that becoming a real quagmire. And potentially legally as well, so,
Like Title IX sort of thing.
yeah, at the very least. Civil rights violations, Title IX, whatever, IEP potentially. So I would agree with what Dan's saying, is that we can restore field trips, and then maybe revisit this next year.
Just along the same line, is this voluntary trip or is this a sponsored trip that we can go to? Those are very different, very different requirements.
And if we fund it, that makes it mandatory.
Right. And what kind of work can, that's just.
Where is it? Is it considered mandatory? No.
No.
Not at all. Okay. But participation has been, 80%, 90%. I didn't even think about that stuff. And Pat and I are agreeing on that.
Yeah.
You all better pay attention to that one.
Just one other point on these trips, they're not just standalone trips. They're culminating experiences for kids that educationally we build up along the year to give them information to use. They don't just out of the blue go on a trip. This is all part of the curriculum that leads up to these trips, so this is kind of a, end experience. So they're part of the curriculum as far as I can see.
Motion on the table to approve
Are
that.
there any other budget changes that we need to discuss?
I just got.
There are some things.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
one other thing we just need to be clear that's in here.
I recommend that there's a second motion on the table, that we just vote down that motion. And start over. So Gene, we need to vote now.
All those in favor of the
Maybe
motion?
we have to vote positive, in the affirmative.
All in favor? All opposed?
No. All right, so I'm gonna make a motion to remove $20,000 from the field trip funds.
Okay, motion made to remove 20,000 from the field trip line. Seconded. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. You want me to?
You got it.
Anything else before that?
Thank you.
You want us to go with the budget, or you want us to jump to the
I'll just jump to my thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think mine will be quick.
Sure.
Just again, same thing as like the field trips. I don't know. Patty will figure it out though. She knows what we're talking about. Spirit is currently in here. We funded Spirit in this budget. Just so everyone's aware of that. Also, Tom had mentioned that if we're going to do Spirit, we should do it on the warrant as well.
They're on,
There are a couple of pieces of information that we should talk about.
starting on page 42, or the co-curricular.
So what page?
It is page 12. The 642 is the
So if it's on the warrant, it doesn't move the budget, right?
That is true.
Right.
You're gonna fund, yeah, you're gonna put dollar amount to it in the warrant.
I'll make a motion that we take it out of the budget and that we put it on the warrant. Sure.
Second, that's it?
And I say that, when you talk about, honoring past precedent, it has been precedent for at least the past 20 years that when we sought about adding a new varsity sport, it has been a trial period, it goes on the warrant, and it gets voted on in this political meeting. And I'd be afraid, why would we treat spirit indifferently? This is what we did with lacrosse, this is what we did with hockey, this is what we've done with skiing, it's what we've done with every varsity sport we've added. And it would greatly concern me that these predominantly young women, why would we be treating them any different than everyone else? So my Title IX perspective, fair and equal treatment.
Becca.
All right, so it's my understanding that Pembroke Academy has a very rich tradition with spirit purple. So is this a new sport, or is this an extension of an existing sport? Did we, for example, Dan, you and I noticed track
Yep, running around.
running around, was that an extension of an existing sport, was that a new one? I think that spirit is a
We added that while I was on the board,
okay.
and I don't notice that one anymore.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm wondering, is, I don't recall that going on the warrant.
I think we really got.
I don't, and therefore, because we have a spirit team already, and we're just extending the season, kind of like what we do with, I'm gonna roll here, all right.
We don't have a spirit team currently.
At all?
Yeah, winter.
We have
Winter
winter
spirit, okay,
spirit,
winter
yeah.
spirit.
I mean,
I apologize.
those
Continue.
women have won all sorts of
Yeah,
wonderful
it's been,
awards.
it's been winter spirit under different names for a
Okay.
Right, but
Yeah, just call it something
cheerleading,
else.
whatever.
Yeah, they just keep changing.
But it's
Yeah,
just something
okay.
different.
Confuses.
So, when we expanded, FIFA,
Robotics.
yeah, we didn't go to a warrant article to expand that. We just expanded it, we accepted
Oh my
that.
God.
No, we just did that a couple of years ago when we put in additional money because there were, now it's a year-round program.
Oh, yes,
Yes.
Yep, we did do
So
that.
therefore, in keeping with Title IX, I would question why we're doing this when it's a predominantly women's sport, and we haven't done it with anything else, that's facetious.
Yep. If I
I didn't read
can,
anything into that.
Yeah, okay, good, thanks.
if I can speak to that though, fair point.
Thank you.
Wow.
We should adjourn now before.
And I can tell you that,
Crow or whatever.
you have, honestly, you've changed my opinion, and quite frankly, I think if the Spirit folks didn't sell it as a very unique endeavor, I never once really thought about it as just an extension, honestly, as an extension of Homeland Directive, because it was sold to, it was promoted as its own thing.
Right.
It was.
So I thought of its own thing, and whenever we've had an own new thing, we've always
Right,
had it particular.
I remember before.
But I think it's a fair point that with, robotics, when that went around, yeah, we didn't put that, I believe we put it on the warrant to begin with,
Right.
back in the day, but we didn't, we haven't put extensions, or expansions, we shouldn't say extensions, we're expanding the program. And to further your point, we're told that it was the same music, the same choreography,
Right.
that it's not like it's,
Not a brand new sport.
well, no, it's even within a year, what they're using for support, they use for both sessions. You know, so I stand, mind change, call me football for the other.
You're a renaissance man.
Good, good.
So you go for,
No, it's on table, second.
I will just go to comments, you knew it was coming.
Can't change every item.
No, not to change, so mine's on different tilts. I have no problem with Spirit specifically. We've been spending at least the last 3 or 4 years since I've been on the board looking at reducing curriculum, reducing teachers. If principals want, a new speech pathologist, we ask them to cut somewhere else. And, make it even, whatever you're giving up, you can have somewhere else. Co-curriculars, I think the number of co-curriculars that we currently have is plenty. We have a reducing student load, adding more co-curriculars and more expense to this budget. I still think say irresponsible without removing something else from the co-curricular. So the motion on the table currently, take it out of the budget and put on the warrant. Any other comments, questions? All in favor of taking it out of the budget as into the warrant? All opposed? No.
So it's in the budget, so.
In the budget. Okay. Anything else? Can we let Amber go? I'll not go. I'm not gonna let him go. I'm gonna let him begin.
Sit down over there.
Is there, how many items?
Not many.
Nothing, yeah, not much,
Only where the highlighted yellow.
which is just a couple, so on page 5, I've added your infrastructure line that we discussed last week, last time, was that last time?
Well, I'm sorry.
So that's on
Page five.
page 5, lines 194, 195, and 196.
So this is our,
That's that 31,000 or 30.
what,
You rate mine?
E-rate money, that's correct.
Yep.
So I created a new line so that we can track that. And then the next change occurs on page 9, on line 481. And that is the special ed, we decided to pull out that 108,000 and utilize special stuff. Special ed stuff.
Okay.
If we need to.
Do we still, I have a question, do we still need to budget for that money and as revenue from trusts?
No, what we've done in the past is we pulled it out and waited to see how the line balances at the end of the year, and we need to withdraw money from the trust to cover those lines, we can do that,
So
but we
we'll
don't have.
overspend it more.
Yes.
Potentially,
what's
but potentially not, because you're, so a change could occur, you do 14 months time span between now and when it occurs. So when the one you have to budget for is if you have a warrant article, then you would have to budget for it, but if it's something that you could just have a public hearing for consideration to expend, you would.
But if it's a no expense, will you budget for it? I don't
You
know,
don't-
go down this road too far, Amber.
Yeah,
I mean, if you know the expense is gonna be
based off of what we.
325,000, isn't that what we should be budgeting?
right, well, no, I think that the money's there and we can cover it like we need to. So even if it's a 99% possibility, why?
But I'm just saying, from a budgetary standpoint, shouldn't be budgeting for what you expect to expend. We're expecting to spend more than $269,000. Why would we undershoot this?
And what if we don't utilize the trust?
We probably don't. Well, we could still be like trucks. We don't have to overspend flying to buy trucks.
That was the correction that the board gave us at the last meeting.
But it's covered either way. Is that the same number as, no, obviously it's not the same same number as
At
last.
the last meeting, the directive was to take it
From
out.
a transparency standpoint,
Right.
this number in here is not right.
Right.
We know we're gonna spend more than $200,000, and we're believing at this point that we're gonna spend more than $250,000. But this is not an accurate number.
Right, but when we purchase something from the trust, we typically put in fund money.
I just think the argument is,
No, I understand what you're saying.
past
but-
practice doesn't make it right.
But we've typically taken it out of fund one budget, one of those trust money. So it's, correct? So, well, I got a question from.
What if Josh needed to buy a tractor, would we take that out of here too?
Right.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, if we know, if we knew that next year he was gonna buy a tractor, would we put that in the budget?
It was, and you took it out. And you bought it.
Son of a-
And you bought it. That's what you did.
Yes, you were going to do that.
Go out.
I see your argument, I
So-
agree with your argument.
So let me ask though,
I could go both ways.
if our books are being audited, and you explain this to an auditor, an outside auditor, would they be more comfortable with one approach to the other?
I think as long as we had minutes stating and then we held the appropriate meeting to take the funds out, I think it would be okay.
Because it's the same impact bottom line.
Without properly identifying their expenditures.
Well, no, we'd have to have a note saying
Or
that
the
we expect to spend.
The revenue.
Or the
Because
revenue.
it's
No,
twofold.
right now, we're not adequately, when we go to
We're
budget
not
committee,
actually funding the
this
line.
number is not right. So what our fund one budget is actually
I'm fine.
gonna be off by
I'm fine.
X number of dollars.
Trust it. Either way.
Can you explain it to the budget committee that way?
Yeah.
I mean, Dana's right.
You know, so now everything's covered.
As
I,
of now.
we get beat up for transparency all the time, and now we're saying,
Was
oh,
there
this number,
notation?
this number that's in here is wrong, we're gonna spend more than this.
Is there a notation that can go along with this?
And then it gets into that, oh, you're convoluting exactly what you're doing, we get beat up every time, which you're trying to avoid.
Right.
Okay.
I have no problem with that.
Do the way that makes the most sense for, for the budget committee and for whatever.
Reinstate it?
Put it back.
Because it is what we expect to spend.
Okay,
And
back in it goes.
there's gonna be a notation either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's $20,000 at this point. Okay.
So that is back to
21.
427.
And there's one more. On page 21, the modular expense has been added. And that, expense is for 11 months. The other month is in that 175. Yep, and that's set up too. And that is it.
All right, then with those changes, I'll make a motion that we move the budget to the budget committee as presented.
Second? Any other discussion on the budget? Do we know what the grand total is? Do people like to know what the grand total is?
Our bottom line goes back closer to what it was last.
It's gonna go back up, yeah.
Yep, let me just double check one math here. Or I can word it out loud. Well, if I do the math in my head, I've got so many numbers on.
Whatever, closest estimate.
No. So 24,688,967.
That's bottom line.
Yes. Double different. Okay. tricky now, I know. You're gonna want the percentage next.
I was surprised to, yeah.
Well, as presented, we'll as presented it.
Nine, five, seven, yeah. And so what was that you wanted to do, right?
Yes, please.
So it's one year, 561. 8.9.
$178,547, is that what you said?
That's what I mean. So that was just in my head.
Well, your head was pretty close.
That's from last year.
That is, yes, comparative from voted, current year to proposed,
Was it 170?
8,547. No, I
No.
took the wrong number, so it's not.
How can that possibly be?
No, I'm sorry.
No, it's.
And it,
Just
you
one.
want the total fund one,
Yeah.
right?
Just from the.
Just one, yes. Yeah, it should be 270.
286, 547.
286,547. Way more sense.
It is still less than the net impact of the teacher's contract for this year. And it was less, so.
Okay.
As a budget with serious cuts.
Right, any other discussion? All in favor of the budget as presented? Vote. Warren? Something with it?
So, before we start the warrant to be, Josh, we're gonna talk about his, 5-year plan and CIP. He had one other unresolved item from the merge that he wanted to talk about, if that's okay, with the playground.
So, within the $175,000 figure is an allotment of just under $11,000 to move some playground equipment. And I know the last time we spoke about this months ago, there was a little bit of back and forth of what was gonna happen with that. So I would just propose that I've had a couple companies come in. I don't believe I can move the big structure, so whether we, change title of the property and somebody keeps that structure there, or whether we have to remove the big structures, I'm prepared to do that. But what I would ask for is the permission to go ahead to move some of those small structures up to the hill school that we believe we can see. Within those structures is about about 11 items. So in my world, 11 items for $11,000 is very small money compared to in the future years installing new items up there. So I know there was just some questioning back and forth.
Sorry, I was gonna say, did you say it's already in the project cost?
It is in the project cost.
We're gonna have a conversation.
I wanted to have the conversation because the conversation had taken place prior. And that's before I signed off with the contractor.
I had a question. So when you say remove the 11 items and reinstall them, that's us doing it ourselves?
That's a playground company doing that,
Okay. So as far as the liability and insurance and everything goes with somebody else?
fully covered. And there's a reason those items have been fixed specifically for the liability. And an example is the big structure is 25, 30 years old. It's fine if it sits in place, but there's no way we believe we can pick that up and move it in one piece. Whereas smaller items, we believe we can do that. With that being said, there is a risk that we start digging and we move stuff could get broken, and some items might not transfer. So we believe there's 11 items there that we can move. They're all small, including some benches, et cetera.
And you plan on doing this after school is done?
It would be summertime stuff.
Others?
We have an obligation to provide age-appropriate playground equipment, and we don't really have much of them now, so, like Josh said, some short money for it.
Does there have to be any site work up there for it, or is it going on?
So there will be some removal of some items up there that have aged out that we'll remove ourselves.
It's gonna basically go in the same place.
So we'll put these items in those areas, and where we can't fit that, we will create another area,
Thank you.
which we're prepared for.
I think our general consensus of the board, I don't think we need a motion. Okay?
Thank you.
I think you're good.
Amber updated the, trust fund document in your packet, and we did a lot of research, Kathy and I went back, a lot of years into the warrant to try and get the information for the trust fund, and Amber added it to the document, so we didn't have to do that again. So we, have in there at the top under the title, so we have the exact title that we found in the warrant article, what they were created as well as the year. So if we have to do any further research, we know exactly what you have to look at for the warrant when it is established. So that's just for your information. And then Amber did talk to, Gary about using the, capital improvement for the wiring, and that would be allowable use,
Really? Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
And then I'll let you, I don't know how you wanna proceed with the discussion, you wanted to talk about how you were gonna fund any of these, and Josh did a 5-year plan, and he also included the CIP in your drive, so I'll be prepared to,
What's their recommendation?
read that sheet, too. That's the CIP is also, not yet, the one she's not added.
Is that the one that says warrant article funding?
Yeah.
I think
Okay, that's in the drive. Replacement flooring and things like that.
Yep, so Josh went through, the big ticket items and tried to map out when he was anticipating we would need work done or replacing some things.
All right, so is there, but there's not a request for specific funding and specific requests at this point in time?
Well, we put together what we thought,
That we had thought, but that hasn't been.
Well, yes, the request that's in there now is the initial list that Josh had brought. And then you asked us to do additional work.
And we want to add one to that, too. The engineering part of that, to the original list.
15,000 for the ramp there?
Was 72, so it would be 87.
I guess what I'm asking for is, and I certainly don't want to go through right now, is there needs to be a plan for, okay, this particular crossing, we need to put X amount of dollars into this crossing over the X amount of years.
That's what that is.
Oh, I thought that was the cost for, and that factors in what's in there now, what's gonna come out.
I didn't put it together.
Okay.
Well, it's
But
trying
then-
to pre-plan for some of that.
Right.
So I
No,
don't
you
know what's
understand what I'm asking? Like, there's a balance in there now,
Yep.
and is this all the same? This is different process, right? Right, so what I'm saying is, go to your list of trust funds, capital trusts, and what we need is, for the warrant, this year we need X amount of dollars into these different trusts. I understand we have this, but we need to convert that into, this is what we need to put in these particular trusts
In order to get there.
in order to make sure we have the money to pay for this. And this isn't that.
Well, this needs to be done, right?
No.
We can kick this down, the warrant, we can kick down the road.
When's your next meeting? They have to, yeah, and they have to have it in January.
January.
When, We have a meeting before that?
Mid-January, it's like January 12th, it's like,
We're gonna have a meeting before that, I think.
7th of January,
Okay.
but we would have to, more than likely, have one more meeting.
Right, so, so what we need from here is what specific funds are these addressed? What is in there now, and what would need to go in there to make sure this can be funded?
So do you want us to assume that you would drain those though? So if it's 250 in one, and you want 200 in
No,
two years.
no, there should be there should be some rationale to what the balance should be. Right, so it's not because we're always gonna have capital repair, right?
Right.
So there's $100,000 in the building capital repair fund. We know over the next 10 years, we're gonna need to put $150,000. All right, so that means we'll need to put $15,000 a year. So in order to direct future boards, all right, in order to maintain this plan, we need to make sure we put X amount of dollars into these funds to support what's on the plan now. So I think the detail is great, but it needs to be tied to a specific trust fund. It needs to be balanced with the balance, and it needs, and depending on what year it is, so if something's replaced flooring, maybe that's not the best one, I think it's the second one. ADA upgrades, 21, 22, or the next 2 years, if we need 50 grand, or say that was 50 grand in 22, 23, well, we know the next 3 years, as long as we put 25 grand in each year, we'd have this 75 in year 3 before it. That's where I'm coming from. So I think this is a great start, we just need to know how does that relate to what we need to do from a warrant perspective.
In order to do that, like to some extent, we need to come up with working balance for each one of these.
right.
Trust funds.
Right.
Minimum working balance for each fund. We can probably figure that out here pretty quick between the five of us. None of us.
Well, even that, I'm not sure I'd want to do tonight, because I think that takes a fair bit of time. And I wouldn't want to do it half-heartedly, because again, what are our potential risks? You know, so what should a balance be? Now, we can sort of shoot from the hip and think, and come up with, oh, well, this could happen or that could happen, so we want to have enough funds to cover that, but there's no, I'm not asking for an actuarial approach, I'm just saying that.
It doesn't make sense to maybe have like a 5-year history of what the balance has been.
So,
for each of the trusts. Get a sense of where we've been.
But even today, like equipment, inflation, labor, expendable trust, again, what's the working balance? I don't know we don't know what the plan is for the next 10 years. How can we possibly know what the working balance should be to begin with?
Well, your working balance should be,
So the
where
working
the
balance.
unexpected.
Right.
That's an unexpected.
Right, but it should be probably a percentage of the plan. We want to keep it 20% to cover what, I mean, there's gotta be some rationale to whatever that working balance is. You know, if you get a trust that you know over the next 10 years, you're gonna want to spend $400,000, then a $10,000 working balance seems silly to me. But a $200,000 working balance would seem exorbitant. It should be in relation to what it is. You understand what I'm saying? And I would know. And then again, there's risk assessment. You know, if this trust fund, do we do worst case scenario? You know,
Especially if I want
or infrastructure. Worst case scenario, we use the biomass as a wood chip boiler. So we, from an insurance standpoint, we need to make sure we have at least that much money in to cover. And now we begin to know what that is. You know, and again, I wouldn't want to start guessing, you know, on a Monday night for something that has a long range impact on the district.
Alright, so we'll tap from everybody. Well, we get it like a week ahead of time for review. We can run through.
When you want it next.
We come back on the 2nd, our meeting is on the 7th.
So no, probably not.
I think we have to, right? If you're gonna decide what you're gonna fund.
Well, I think we need to have a little bit of time to review it,
Yeah, we have.
chew on it.
My gut reaction is this is very fair and reasonable. And I can't imagine not supporting anything that's on this plan. So it needs to be tied back to the specific trusts. We need to know what's in there, how the trust is gonna behave for the next 5 years.
I don't think that's hard.
And what we need to put in to maintain that.
That's not the hard part. The working balance is the hard part.
Well, and
Get
again,
rationale.
and we need Josh and Amber and others to say like, look, do a risk assessment and what's our most significant risk that each trust would insure against? Because quite frankly, you know, a major roof failure or a major, HVAC failure may suggest that a certain trust fund, we have a working balance of $300,000 before we even think about spending it.
So, everyone okay with the funding?
We're not gonna be able to plan for plans, but we can get a pretty good idea of what
Good sense of
reasonable guesses for what.
I think Josh can start it.
We'll deal with that, we're gonna have to deal with that in January, nothing. We'll just let the budget we know is not complete at this time. Okay, what else you got? Am I ready to move on to the budget?
I don't know.
Any other questions, budget, we're in pretty good shape. Looks good.
Budget committee is meeting here,
Here,
Thursday.
Thursday, 6:30. Here, yes.
We knew that. Okay.
One thing about the seventh is we were invited to the selectmen meeting.
That was
Just
pushed,
put that out.
that was pushed out
It was, okay.
No, it's pushed to the seventh.
to the seventh.
Seventh.
Oh, right, this is the seventh.
Clinton is planning on making a presentation on it to the selectmen also.
Who is?
Clinton,
Thanks.
the chairman of the committee. There've been some stuff going on since, we're working on it. I don't know if you want more information on that, but
What time are they meeting?
we can give it to, pardon?
What time are they meeting?
Same time as our
Third.
6:30.
And do people need to be there? Does Josh need to be there at this one?
Josh, we talked about Josh being, possibly being there. Yes.
What do you want to do about your, that meeting on the seventh is to go over the warrant articles that Josh is working on.
We have problems.
Conflict.
Yeah, well, both of us, you know, I can't be in both.
Seventh is Tuesday.
No, that's on the Monday.
We went to Mondays for a reason.
Yep, Amber and I have a public hearing on Tuesday.
And I know your schedule is.
It's all the, it's all the other MVPs, but.
Josh, that will probably be the first item on the selectmen's meeting, and it probably won't take too long, really.
Should we ask Dave Jordan to put that at the top so we can have Josh back also?
Yeah.
Can we reach out to Dave Jordan?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll ask him to make it first.
Ask him to make it first.
I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be anyway, but I will ask him.
Okay, right. Right along. Item 4 is policy reviews, and we've decided not to take action throughout the budget was over. Everyone's good with that? Information items? Anybody? John, good? I'm good. Anybody else? Okay. Item 6, public comments. Any members of the public like to speak?
Hello, Tim Driscoll and members of the community. April Belonging, Pembroke Hill Road. I would like to know when, your budget will be available with the warrants, because it was not available on the website to preview prior to this meeting. It's not available now at your meeting. My understanding is you're going before the budget committee on Thursday. Where is it? Can I walk away with a copy?
You can request a copy to the superintendent's office.
Is your budget going to be ready for Thursday?
Yes, our draft budget will be ready for Thursday.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? No? Okay, no public? No? No. No need to know public? Motion adjourned. Thank you.
I need to take a walk to clear my head, I apologize for 2 seconds.
We will allow it.
I don't even know if this matters, I received the NH,
The resolution?
yeah,
Yes.
Do we have to discuss that?
Is the delegate assembly the 26th?
26th of January, so at some point, do we have to discuss it before then?
They ask that each board vote on each resolution so that you know how to represent your board.
Right.
So that, if you could read those and be ready on the 7th, so that would be great, thank you.
Okay, so I'll get them to you.
I think
We
Kelly
don't-
put
I
it
have,
on.
I have.
Oh, you all have?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Okay, anything else?
You want us all here on Thursday?
As many as can make it. I think would be great.
It's like I between now and then.
All right, all in favor of adjourning?
Uh,
All right, adjourned.